This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are breaking down the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. We're going to talk about how Connor McDavid still deserved the MVP trophy, even though they did not win. And then we shift our focus over to what's happening with the Cleveland Guardians and how are they somehow still winning many games and the Reds are continuing to lose. We also talk about the NBA draft, and we break down the rankings of EA College Football 25, and do we agree with each offense and defensive rankings? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben, that's Josh, and we are live. No, we're not live, but we are alive in almost July. It's the end of June. Josh, I cannot believe it's the end of June. Right now it's storming as we're recording this here in Budapest, Hungary, which is crazy. But yeah, it's been a crazy week of sports. The NBA draft happened yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday, which I think is very funny because I texted Josh and he was like, wait, what? Just shows you how no one cares or how the NBA really doesn't care. I don't think either. But we'll get all to that in a second. But Josh, how was your weekend? Did you do anything crazy in the crazy weather?
Nothing crazy. No, this last weekend was my weekend to work, but I did get into some pickleball yesterday. Have you ever played, Ben?
Oh boy, you're getting into the pickleball. Okay, I will say this:
It might have caught me.
Listen, the pickleball bug has not hit me yet. I played one round before it was big. I played it in America, like when I was the end of college.
Look at Ben playing before it was big.
I was, I was before its time. But I guess because I'd never played tennis, I wasn't very good at table tennis either. So I guess for me, it wasn't, I guess for me, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
The draw wasn't there. Okay.
Yeah. But I think if I was with like a group of friends, cause I did this with like one of my dorm mates, but I feel like if I was with a group of friends, like there's like 12 of us, I think it'd be more fun to do like a tournament. Then I might get into it cause I would get competitive. But I feel like if you're just doing it to try it out, I feel like to me, I guess I just didn't get into it. But I guess now Josh is going to be our pickleball expert here on the show.
Well, we'll see. It's still very early stages. Yesterday was only the second time I ever played.
Have you bought yourself a racket or a paddle?
I don't have anything. My girlfriend has all that. She introduced me to it last month. And then we just played against some other people yesterday. We tried out some new courts and there was a lot of other people there. So we did doubles against some other teams and got smoked in those. And then we played a little bit of one-on-one after that. But it's not as lame as, I guess, what it looks like.
It does. If you watch it on TV, it does look really lame. Like if you watch, it's like, this doesn't look fun. This is like wiffle ball with rackets. That's what it reminds me of.
I enjoy it though. It's kind of fun. So we'll see if I ever get to the point where I end up buying my own racket. We'll see. But for now, it's very early stages, and first impressions is it is a lot more fun than what it looks.
See, we always knew Josh would have this secret talent that's going to be coming alive here before we know it. And he'll add that expertise to the show. But yeah, there's been a lot of craziness that's happened since the last episode. I mean, not really. I mean, we knew that the NHL was finishing up. But Josh, why don't you're the hockey guy. I mean, more than I am, at least.
I'm the hockey guy over here. Yeah, I wish I could have watched this game 7 because it was happening on a Monday night that I had to work, but I was checking score updates and ended up being a lot lower scoring of a game than what we'd been seeing because Edmonton, exploded offensively for their 3 straight wins and tied up 3-3, sent this to game 7.
Which was awesome. Love game 7.
Yeah. Florida held on, though. They did not have an epic choke job. They did not blow a 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
They brought home their first Stanley Cup, and Canada still hasn't won one since 1993. So all is well in America as far as that goes. But Sergei Bobrovsky also.
Is that a political joke? Wait, is that a political joke from Josh?
Was it a political joke?
I mean, I took it as a political joke. Maybe that's just
okay. I didn't intend it to be. I just enjoy that Canada talks about hockey being its game, and it can't win any championships in it. And a team from Florida is winning.
We can't say that
ice over there.
The Canadians did win like the first 7 of the first 12 Stanley Cups back in the 60s. So they did own it for a while.
Okay, well, in the last 31 years?
Yeah,
they haven't
pretty
won
much. One? Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams in Canada, too.
There was also a guy, I think his name's something Perry is his last name. He's been on the 4 of the last 5 losing NHL final teams, which I just think is the most demoralizing thing. Like,
It's got to be, man.
a couple times he left the team to then join the team that was in the final the previous year that won it, and then they end up losing. I just think it's hilarious. I read it online. I don't remember. I think he's every year except last year since 2019, he's been in the finals and lost the finals, which I just that's so sad.
Yeah, for a while, it seemed like Florida was just one of those teams that could do a lot in the regular season, nothing in the playoffs. But this fixes a lot of that. Like I said, Bobrovsky gets a ring, which is also cool for all the Columbus fans. The other cool thing that I thought was Connor McDavid ended up walking away with the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is like the MVP for the entire playoffs, not just the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, he deserved
but he is the first one on the losing Stanley Cup team to win it since the last lockout. I read 42 points in 25 games, I think it was.
It's kind of like I've always, I know some people feel bad about like the MVP should be on the winning team, but there's just moments where I feel like the MVP is just the MVP. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just moments in sports where it's like, it does not matter.
Who are the Oilers without McDavid?
Yeah, like exactly. Like, to me, it's like there's just moments where it's like, and again, I know he probably hates it because it's like, I got this award, but we lost the finals. Like, I get it. It sucks, but you still got to give him props. I mean, the dude put up 42 points in what?
25 games.
Yeah, 25 games. Like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
It's almost double what the games were. I mean, that's awesome to see.
Yeah.
I mean, Bobrovsky was probably the only other guy that you could probably think of that maybe you give it to because just of what he kind of did throughout the playoffs. But then he did give up 8 goals. So,
Well, they gave up 8 goals. He gave up 4 or 5 of them, I think.
But still,
yeah,
there wasn't anybody that was dominant like he was every single game, or for at least the most part.
For those first couple, that's just kind of like the logic and thinking I wish could have happened when Andre Iguodala won the NBA Finals MVP.
Yeah,
because Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green weren't dominant enough to come out and win it themselves. So the guy that played such strong defense, allowing LeBron James to nearly average a triple-double, was the guy that they gave it to instead. It's like, oh my gosh, man, just give it to LeBron, man.
Yeah, and
it's
I
like
think
36 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, or something like that.
And
that's we're gonna get to the guy that allowed him to do that.
And this is why I believe that the NHL is probably the one sports league that truly hasn't been warped into the wokeness. Now, at times it has, but like this is the one thing where I feel like the media is not just like, they're not just, or the NHL is not just handing out awards to like the winning team, right? Like this just shows me like, what, they're still looking at who's the best out there, right? And I feel like
not a token award.
Yeah, like basketball, it's just become token awards. All of them have, and the NFL kind of there. A little bit in the NFL, you can kind of see the parody, but it's just MLB and NHL always seem to get it right when they, at least for the most part, when they try to put the awards in the best guys' hands, at least in my opinion.
The most deserving. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen who they would argue outside of McDavid for that. I
like who?
Don't know.
Like no one.
Who else could have gotten it right?
Bobrovsky's the only one that comes to mind. That's the only guy that comes to mind.
Yeah. And then I would have been like, but he allowed like 5 goals and got removed from the game at one point. That's your MVP, getting removed from games. I don't know. But it's like heck of a series, definitely entertaining. Let me see if I can try to get some TV ratings for how Game 7 was, because that really should have been the most viewed hockey game of like in the decade or something like that.
Yeah, and it's obviously you get all of Canada probably watching, which is huge, because I don't think if there's no Canada team, I don't know how many Canadians are really watching Americans succeed.
Right.
I get it. I mean, as an American, I get it. We're proud. I mean, we should be proud. I won't talk about it in the show, but Japan beat America in the U20 World Championships for American football by 25. So,
Oh, while you're on that note too, didn't Canada beat Brazil like 110
to nothing? And then the USA lost to Japan 41-20, and it wasn't even close. Like I watched the highlights. But again, I will give this though, is America did not have like the USA didn't have like the best high school athletes. Like, trust me, if they would have went out and got all the 5 stars that are out there right now, it wouldn't even be close. But I believe there's some rules with it. I'm not sure how it works, but like there were like 3 and 2 star guys against Japan, which all these kids are playing in the professional league in Japan. So like, I get it.
That's why when you win the championship in America, you are world champions.
I mean, truly, obviously.
Truly. So Stanley Cup Game 7 got 7.66 million viewers, which is the most watched NHL game since 2019. So,
Wow.
well deserved.
Well deserved, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
182% up from last year's Stanley Cup Final Game 5 clincher between Florida and Vegas.
It is, the facts are there. So we are
Yeah.
live. It's more people than
So
watch
that's-
half of the NBA.
Yeah. NBA's ratings, as
Dude, they're
we
so
talked
bad.
last time, are going down
So
in the
bad,
finals
man.
for some reason. But it also was a really boring finals this year in comparison to
But
this Stanley Cup.
NBA is just so boring. Like, I would rather watch NHL than NBA, like many times, because
Right
the
now, I
NBA
would
is so
too.
boring. It's just so boring.
Yeah. But we do have some fun NBA offseason
Yes.
topics to talk
Which,
about
as
today.
Josh, as we talked about, as I said at the beginning of the show, Josh had no idea that the draft was happening last night.
I had no idea
I
the
guess
draft was
round
happening
2 is
today.
happening as we're recording this, but round 1 happened last night. And
Yeah.
I texted him this morning. And I was like, "Hey, we can talk about the draft tonight too." And he's like, "Huh?"
It's like the draft, huh? Yeah. I
Oh.
don't feel like the NBA has advertised it hard enough, or at least
And maybe it's because it was
NBA
so
media.
close to the finals, and then obviously the NHL was happening. I feel like maybe it just got clouded with all the craziness happening. But
I've also heard a lot more Bronny James talk than who's going to be the
is
first
true.
overall pick, which
fun
let's just go
fact,
ahead and
yeah, fun
let's
fact,
go ahead and talk about that
French,
here. We got
the French are
France.
dominating, by the way. They're dominating the last 2 drafts. Like, France is literally
France
saying,
has 3 of the top 6 picks, both of the top 2. Zachary Rossachester.
it's Zachary, actually.
That's
It's
okay.
literally
They
Zachary.
spell Zachary very different over there in France. No disrespect to the French, but Alex Sarr, I think I said that right.
Yeah, you
is
got
second.
that right.
Yes. The first name that I really recognized on this was Stefan Castle from UConn, 4th to the Spurs.
Yeah. The other one that
And-
was a shock is Zach Edey getting drafted in the top 10, which he was projected to go late 20s, and he got plucked out of nowhere by the Hornets, which I think is hilarious. Or the Memphis Grizzlies, sorry.
Was it the Hornets? The Grizzlies.
No, it was Grizzlies, which I
Okay.
think is fascinating to me, because you put him and Ja Morant together, that actually is a very fun duo, I think.
Also, I just, not to like compare players, but Marc Gasol, a boring big white guy for this team for a long time, and now they got another boring big white guy to fill in
The
here.
one that, the steal that I thought happened was the Lakers, who got the guy from
Dalton Connect from Tennessee,
which
really good
he
pick
was
at
supposed
17.
to go top like 7, and he dropped all the way to 17. That's if you're trying to tell LeBron James, hey, we're going to get guys. That is by the way, that is a JJ Redick dude. Like, if there's a guy that fits like JJ Redick mentality, that's that guy.
Really good shooter. I think second leading scorer in college behind Edey.
Was really upset that the Cavs didn't get a big man. I was a little confused by the Cavs going out and getting a guy who might have been a little bit of a reach, is what I've heard from some. Some say it was a good pick, but I didn't really know anything about him, and I had to look up stuff about him because I was clueless on who this guy was. He played in California, probably the reason.
Yeah, Jalen Tyson, guard.
He's 6'7".
Like
he plays 4 positions. Supposedly played 4 positions last year, and he blew away the Cavs scouts. So I don't know, but maybe I'm just me. Don't you feel like they should have went out and got a big guy, like another big dude to have down low? Because that's where we struggled, I think, in the playoffs.
I would have rather had that too, because right now on the roster we got
the Mobleys.
We got the Mobleys and we got Allen.
That's about it.
Like, yeah. And what do you always talk about? Like, the weakness being is
now, I've heard
right
that this is possibly because they're going to try to get a second round pick somewhere. They might trade a Coro, and so this was to replace a Coro, and they're going to get out a big man. But I'm like, yeah, but you had so many good big guys sitting there that you could have grabbed one of them. Like, even the guy from Flipkowski from Duke has not been picked yet, who was supposed to be a lottery pick. And I'm like, he was sitting right there, and you can get a 7-footer. Again, this is just probably he said, she said stuff. But again, that's just my surprise a little bit by the Cavs.
Yeah. Jalen Tyson averaged 19.6 points, though, last year. They say that his weaknesses in the ESPN scouting report are that he lacks high-end length and explosiveness. So,
great.
I guess he's going to have to stick as a guard. He won't be playing 4 different positions.
They
in the
said,
NBA
no,
the
Cavs said that they like his versatility, and he won't, because of the depth we have at wing. The GM said, we don't have to play him right away. I'm like, then why did you spend a first-round pick on him? That's my question. than
Yeah.
get a big man that you can throw in there right away.
It's tough to find a pick at pick 20 that you can play right away
Well,
like
and
that,
that's the
though, at the
thing is
same time.
I think Zach Edey was a guy who I think who I've heard the Cavs loved, but when he got picked there, I'm sure that might have made them scramble mode. Like, oh boy, now we got to figure out what we're going to do. Because if they got Zach Edey, that just gives you an extra body that you can throw around there that in next year.
Yeah, if you do want to look on the bright side, Jalen Tyson did nearly double his scoring average, though. He averaged 10
Yes.
points the year before and then went up to 19.6.
And he also
like I
averaged
said,
about
so
7 boards, I believe, a game. So it's not like he can't rebound, which is the
yeah,
thing that we struggle with on our guards.
yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens there. The other pick that was a guy that I had actually heard of was Donovan Clingan from
Yeah.
UConn going 7 to Portland. So it's really
Which I think
solid
that's a good pick.
there.
And I believe
Yeah.
that I've heard that Topic going to the Thunder, they're going to nickname him the Topic Thunder, which I think is, if you don't know what movie that is, the Tropic Thunder movie, Topic Thunder, that is just,
Yes.
that is golden. That is
Very good.
That needs to stick with him. Again, the Thunder. Also, I've heard the Thunder might be landing Paul George, which would be hilarious considering Paul George was traded to LA with a bunch of picks going to OKC. And if somehow he goes back to OKC, would just be hilarious in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Another really possibly steal pick was Terrence Shannon Jr. falling to 27 in Minnesota.
And part of that is because of his arrest, I guess you would call it.
Off the court stuff.
Yeah.
Super explosive, efficient, really solid player last year for Illinois. Yeah. So possibly really solid addition there for Minnesota at 27.
And guess who didn't go in the first round, Josh?
Bronny James did not go in the
not
first
shocked.
round.
Not shocked at all.
Filipowski went to the Jazz in the second round, though.
Oh, he just got drafted. Sorry, the second round is going on right now.
It's going on as we speak. If we do see Bronny get picked, we'll talk about it. But as of right now, we're on to pick 12 in round 2.
So Filipowski went. So he went what? 10 picks in. 10 picks.
He
in?
went
No.
32nd pick, second in the first, second round.
Which I'm not shocked. I mean, he's. But this is the thing about Bronny, is that the Lakers have the 55th pick, the Celtics have the 54th pick. I heard that a lot of people think it'd be funny if the Celtics just did a whole screw job to the Lakers and said, we're going to select Bronny.
It would be great, especially since they don't even need anybody in this draft.
Is that, according to Rich Paul, Bronny's not signing a two-way deal. There's no way that a team drafts him and keeps him on like, do you really think the Lakers are going to keep him on a full NBA contract?
Most second-round picks do not end up staying.
But that's my thing, is like, you can't tell me that, like, LeBron has to be like, for his son, being like, hey, son, you need to either go play in the G League or go play overseas for a year. He's got to get developed, man. Like, he is so not ready for the NBA. And again, maybe this is going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'll be shocked. But he's probably going to go to the Lakers, and it's going to be he. Unfortunately for Bronny's, the media put so much pressure on him in the last 3 or 4 months. What do you think,
should have been
Josh?
a 4-year college player.
Yeah, he should have transferred. He should have went somewhere like a low D1 school and done nothing.
Yeah.
And just developed.
Yeah. Exactly. So since he's LeBron's son, there is obviously the pressure there to maybe have even left high school if that was still allowed. But
do you think it helps? Do you think it helps if he struggles that Bryce James, his second son, maybe doesn't get as much pressure, that maybe he can just kind of flow a little bit better? Do you think that might happen if, let's say, Bronny doesn't succeed, or do you think that ramps it up and be like, okay, Bryce is going to be the chosen one?
I don't know. I think the other thing too is that one of the sons is also named LeBron James Jr. So that was the one that was supposed to be.
He did say, LeBron said he regrets like giving him his name. Like that's why he loves calling him Bronny, because he like regrets giving him the junior title, which I get it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but he's definitely a guy that should have played 4 years of college. You can see it.
Sure.
Wasn't ready.
For sure.
Yeah, so here we are. But
here we are. What's some other news, though, that are happening in the NBA?
Yeah, related to us in Ohio, the Cleveland Cavs have a coach now, Kenny Atkinson.
2 days before the draft.
Yes. So this is the guy that's supposed to convince Donovan Mitchell to stay, that I'm sure that hopefully he okayed. But Atkinson was an assistant with the Warriors. He previously has had coaching experience with the Nets when they had the D'Angelo Russell-led team, and they were young and they had some success over there. And when you look across the board, Ben, it's really hard to find a good NBA coach. There's not too many of them out there, not many other hot names. Some people weren't too thrilled about it that I'd seen talking about it online, but I think this is like as best
That's
as
a
you can
solid
do,
move.
honestly.
It's a solid move.
It is. It's
It,
solid.
it,
There's
it
nothing
doesn't.
that
It's not.
I think they could have done better.
It's not like a flash the headlights, like, oh no,
Right.
this is bad. And this is also not like, hey, here's the spotlight. I'm going to take not like JJ Redick, right? Like,
It's not the flash move like JJ Redick or Dan Hurley would have been, but we weren't ever going to get any of those guys
no,
anyways. Plus, Hurley's never coached in the NBA and Redick's never coached
yeah.
any professional or college team
But I
ever.
think,
This is a guy that's shown that he can do it. And we
he
got a
can
young team just
develop,
like that
and
Nets
he
team.
can develop, which is what the Cavs have needed. I loved Bickerstaff, but I've always felt like development was not his strong suit. But Atkinson has proven with the Golden State Warriors, with the Nets, and his other stops, like he's always been able to develop somebody. And I think you need to have these young guys develop. Mobley needs to develop. And if you can convince Mitchell to stay, that's going to like save a breath from all of us Cavs fans for the next 5
because I'm already
years.
like counting on him being gone next year.
But
I'm
if
not,
you can
when I
save
think of the
him,
Cavs next year, yeah.
I mean, think about that. You then have Mobley you can lock up. You have these next picks that you're going to have in the future. You can go out and get some guys. Like I think that will allow people to come to Cleveland rather than trying to leave Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Make it more of a, I won't say a top destination, but more desirable place to play. Right.
And let's be honest, Donovan Mitchell wants to be the number one guy. The Knicks, which we'll talk about here in a second, made a trade that why would he want to go to the Knicks? Right? Like why would he want to go into that crowded room that now is where right now he's the guy. No matter if Garland's there or not, he's the dude. And I think he likes that. And would he want to go to a place that is a lot more crowded and more, there's more talent, but he might not get the same amount of reps.
I think he's still the dude with the Nets or the Knicks, I mean. But yeah, let's talk about that Knicks roster right now that already had Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Donovan or Dante DiVincenzo, and now Michael Bridges.
It's basically just Villanova.
The 2016 Nova roster that
pretty much
Stephen A. Smith said had no NBA talent on
which
it,
I think is
at
hilarious,
the time.
By the way.
So it is a fun cold take to look at. But yes, they gave up a lot to get Bridges.
They gave up
lot. So many picks.
That's way too many, man. I don't think
for
he's
a guy
that
like
good.
that.
I don't think he's that good.
He plays all 82 games. That's like the one thing that you can say he does better than most guys. Averages 19 a game, but you're right.
He's not averaging 30 a game.
Right.
Like, he's not
an all-star.
Like
and then they just signed OG Anunoby to a 5-year
term,
$12 million. It's like, wow, man. Again, this is like somebody said this is the first role player super team in NBA history, and I laughed.
But it's funny because, like you said, if Donovan Mitchell, he might be the number one, but then you have a whole bunch of grumpy dudes. You're gonna have Brunson grumpy. You're gonna have all these dudes that are gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna get the ball at all.
Brunson just averaged over 30 a game this year.
I know. So again, I think that's helped the Cavs case to Mitchell and be like, look, do you want to go do that? Or do you want to be with a team that can make the playoffs? If we just add some pieces, we have what you need. That's what I think. And also if you stay healthy. Let's be honest, the Cavs were not healthy all last year. So that is fascinating though.
Yeah. The Bridges trade actually gives I think I saw the Nets now have 16 first rounders from now to 2031.
They're the East version of the OKC Thunder. They're the East version of them.
The Thunder were able to pilot picks, and they're starting to become more seasoned vets, and they're rising in the West right now. So we've seen the Nets be in the position where they had no first-round picks for like a 6-year period because of the trade they made for Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. But now they're in a position where they're getting picks. So, yeah, they definitely need to do that too, especially since they had to give up so much to be able to get like James Harden and Kevin Durant and Kyrie over there. And now they don't even have any of those guys anymore.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, they definitely need to do something to spring that franchise forward.
No, I saw some things. Obviously, the Euros are happening, and I thought it was very interesting. I don't know if you know this, Josh, but in the Euro competition, there's 4 teams in each group. And this is kind of not related to the NBA, but I just thought it was fascinating because I think it reminds me of like the playoffs in the NBA. You expect certain teams to make it, right? Well, in this, Hungary didn't make it, which that's a whole nother story for another day. But in one group, you play 3 games, and the top 2 teams go automatically. A third team can make it based on the amount of points they have. A win is 3 points, a draw is 1 point. All the teams in this specific group had 4 points. What does that mean? That means the 4th place group, who had the second most points among most teams, did not make it through and they got eliminated. And yet there was teams that had 3 and 2 points that got advanced because they were in third place. It is fascinating how sports works. Just fascinating how sports works. That's what it just reminded me of, these trades. Like, sports are just so weird. There's all these draft picks and there's others. It's just the world of sports, man. It's never trained.
Divisions sometimes suck, don't they?
It is one of those worlds. It really is. It really is.
Fun transition. Speaking of divisions, Cleveland not only is leading their division, they have the best record, at least yesterday, in all of baseball.
Yes, thank you for reminding us Reds fans of how crappy our season's been. Okay, I will defend, though. To be honest, Josh, I will defend the Reds on this. They have been injury plagued the whole season. I don't know if you saw that. Carson Strand is going to be out for the season. We don't know when McLean is coming back. We're still trying. We've been told many things. Marte just came off the suspended list. They lost Friedel again on the IL. They've lost their best pitcher, Lodolo's done for at least 15 days. Hunter Green's banged up. Actually, I looked at the roster today and I was like, I know like half of these dudes. I don't even know half of these dudes because they're like AAA dudes they've called up. So again, before we talk about the Guardians, I do want to say to Reds fans, like, I get it. The fact that we're still only 3.5 games back of the wild card is a miracle, being 6 games below 500. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Philly, as of today, actually has the top record now. They must have passed us with the way that games went last night, but we still got best record in the American League right now. I also saw that against teams 500 or better, we got the best record against. So that debunks the rumor that we just play in a weak AL Central division, because also Kansas City and Minnesota are in that wild card running there and also above 500.
If the Guardians manager vote does not win, I saw this post too and I agree with it. If he does not win manager of the year, even if they would finish today, and not win I don't care if they don't win the World Series or not. Like, what he's done, taking over for one of the best, greatest managers of our generation, I think would be a shame, because he's done some tremendous things. And you had a guy come up, get called up, and he hits a home run in his first at bat, which the Reds never have. So, all of our rookies hit about 180. That's the way it works this year.
Yeah. Votes definitely got to be in manager of the year consideration. The only thing that I think can stop us right now is just starting pitching depth. Because I'm going to go ahead and read you some of these scary ERAs right here. Logan Allen actually leads our rotation in wins. He's 8-3, but he has a 5.72 ERA.
What? Jeez.
And a 1.55 WHIP. Not good.
No.
Our leading ERA guy is Tanner Bybee, which you'd expect, and also our leading strikeout guy. He's got 106 strikeouts. He's got a 3.50 ERA, 6-2 record, which is definitely respectable. But we don't have Bieber there. We also know that McKenzie is a guy that kind of is inconsistent both in his performance and in his health. We are hoping that Gavin Williams can come in soon. Carrasco is also a guy that's in our rotation right now that has a 5.27 ERA. If it wasn't for our bullpen having 4 all-star caliber arms in it right now, between Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, Emmanuel Clase, and I'm gonna forget the other guy's name. Let me go ahead and look that up here real quick. But we got 4 guys in that bullpen basically that are dealing like a 1.3 ERA or lower than that right now. Tim Herron, 1.13 ERA. Yeah. If it wasn't for our lockdown bullpen right now, we might be in some trouble. Plus the offense. If you had a rotation like this that had 3 guys in it with almost a 5 or higher ERA, we're not winning this many games. The offense has continued to stay consistent. This isn't just like a hot start to me anymore. Jose Ramirez second in all baseball and RBIs with 72. Stephen Kwan still hitting near 400. Josh Naylor doing his thing. Everybody in the lineup is still hitting. So this isn't just us playing weak teams. This isn't just us being a weak division. We're already in July now, Ben. We're not just in a hot start anymore. This is the true Cleveland roster. We just need starting pitching depth. They need to be able to trade some of these prospects finally and get a big-time arm if we're going to beat teams like the Yankees, because you can't just go Bybee and McKenzie and be done. Yeah, you got to have that third killer arm.
The one thing that is driving me nuts when I look at the Red stats, if you look in the standings, did you know that they have a +6 run differential? Every team in the wild card, outside of I think one or two teams, has negative run differential. This team right now is technically the third worst record in the NL, and we have a 6-run differential because our offense is good. Like I look at the thing that drives me nuts about Elly De La Cruz is he had like 30 stolen bases in I think the first like 32 games or 34 games.
Yeah.
He only has 37 now. Like he basically what teams are doing is they're quick pitching. Whenever he's on base, they're basically just slide stepping. They're not doing a full. They're just like, hey, let's get the ball out. And he struck out 105 times already. That leads barely, but the difference is like Benson, who struck out 100 times, he has an on base percentage of only 282. Right, for the Reds. But then De La Cruz, who has struck out 105 times, he's got a 342 on base percentage. That's not bad, right? And can you believe if I tell you there's a guy with double-digit triples already this year in the MLB?
Who's that?
Duran from the Boston Red Sox has 10 triples already, and Bobby Witt Jr. has 8. But 10 triples in the first like 3 months is wild.
Half, yeah.
Like that's wild to me. I think the record's like 25, I think, in a year or something like that, but still that's wild to me. Like 10 triples already? Dude, that's
very
nuts.
unreal.
But it is wild. But again, the Reds suck, and that's where we can leave it. That's just where we can leave it.
I also gotta shout out Aaron Judge here. First in the league in home runs with 30, first in the league in RBIs with 77, first in the league in OPS at 1.145, and sixth in the league in batting average at 309. And he gave everyone like a month head start, basically, remember?
That is true. He's just a freak. But I do want to give some news update about Bronny James. According to sources, Rich Paul is telling people, don't take Bronny James. If you take him, he's going to Australia.
He's telling which teams? Like all teams?
It does not say. It says he's calling teams. So I guess that means all teams. Except the Lakers, maybe. Don't take Bronny James. If you take him, he's going to Australia.
I'd love to be the reason that Bronny James had to go play in Australia.
Oh, dude, that'd be hilarious. It'd be phenomenal.
I guess he has more freedom as an undrafted free agent to go where he wants, right? And he's at the mercy of these teams that are left to pick. Maybe the team that he wanted to go to has already taken players.
I guess. I don't know anymore.
You don't have a lot of leverage when you got a guy that's like borderline a second-round pick either to do that.
No, it's stupid. Just dumb.
Yeah. Really dumb.
But anyways, you know what's not? You know what is dumb to some people, Josh? You know what is dumb? The EA college football video game rankings.
Okay. Tell me some of them, because I've been seeing like at least the hardest stadiums to play in people have had a problem with.
That we're not going to get into that because I'll be arguing all day because some of them are just stupid. the fact that Kyle Field is number 1 and not LSU is just beyond me. But I do want to get into this because it actually ties into what we're going to start next week, which Josh has talked about many times, which is I believe we talked about the what are we talking about? Oh yes, we were doing our preview, obviously, of our upcoming
NFL divisions.
NFL divisions, yes. Yep. And so if I can find the post here that they did. Anyways, I will pull it up on this guy because I know.
While you're doing it, I do know that I saw on that list that Ohio State's defense is ranked number 1, I think.
Yes.
With everybody coming back that did, and then the addition of Caleb Downs, I think that makes the most sense, and most fans would agree that they should be ranked number 1 in the game.
Yes. Now, if I can hold on, here we go. Here we go. There we go. Found it. So here, let me bring up the list here. Here we go. So this is the top offenses. All right. So we're going to start with the offenses. I want to read you the top 10, Josh, and then we'll hear your response.
All right.
Top 10. Number 1, Georgia, 94 overall. Number 2, Oregon, 94 overall. Number 3, Alabama at 91 overall. Number 4, Texas at 91 overall. Ohio State at 5 at 89 overall. Then LSU at 6, 89. Miami at 7, 89. And then this one drives me nuts. Colorado at 8, the 8th best offense at 89. Missouri at 89 at 9. And then Clemson at 10. Some other notable ones are Utah at 11, Penn State at 12, Ole Miss at 13, and then some other ones. USC's at 25, which I don't believe that a bit. But in that top 10, there is one that sticks out to me. But again, the top 5 I don't have a problem with. I think those top 5 are the top offenses. Now, do I think some should be shifted around? Maybe, but I agree with that. But I'll let you say
Read
your
the 10
take.
again to me.
Okay. Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Miami, Colorado, Missouri, Clemson.
Yeah, I know you already mentioned Colorado.
That's
They
just
did score a
ridiculous,
lot.
dude.
It is
But
ridiculous, but they did
it's-
score a lot. They lost games mostly because of their defense.
You know, it's
but
the hype train. That's what that is.
it's also a part of the hype train, right? But Miami also
That's
in there
also
is
weird,
a weird
dude.
one
That's
that
a
doesn't
weird
make a whole
one.
lot of sense to me either. Even
They can't even
adding
take a
on
knee,
Cam
man.
Ward
They
to
can't even take a
at
knee.
quarterback.
They can't even take
Yeah,
a knee.
like nobody thought of Miami last year as an explosive offense.
But even Clemson, to me, like there's some other teams in the lower tier. I'm like, even Clemson's pushing top 10.
Ole Miss did not make the top 10
No,
either.
they were, dude.
Which
They
is
were
crazy.
Which crazy to me is they were 13. They were behind like Utah and Penn State.
They held on to Jackson Dart and added Juice Wells from
Yes.
the portal. They still got really good receivers over there, and they're going to have one of the highest scoring offenses. It's got to be top 10.
Yeah, it's wild to me. And Ohio State, I think at 5, again, I'm fine with that. I think there's a lot of unknown with the quarterback, so I think that's why they're kind of hesitant on putting them where they are got to be. But again, I think the biggest thing that we're going to have an issue with is the defense. I'm telling you, it's the
defensive
defense.
rankings. Okay.
Just wait for this because I know Josh is he's passionate about certain teams that don't have good defenses, and I can't wait for him to hear this. So, top 10. Ohio State number 1. I think we both can agree on that one. Most talent coming back, easy. Number 2, Georgia, 94 overall. 3, Oregon. 4, Alabama. 5, Clemson. 6, Notre Dame. 7, Michigan. 8, Texas. 9, Penn State, and 10, Utah. There is one team that's missing from the top 10 that should definitely be in the top 10. And should we debate the top 10 before I tell you what some ridiculous things are happening in the top 25? Let's talk about this before I get into the craziness.
The top 10. Okay.
Is there anything there that sticks out to you that you're like, maybe should be too much of a reach?
I mean, I know Michigan lost a lot, so I am surprised that even with the talent coming back, and they do have a couple guys like Will Johnson, I think McGregor's still there, that they still have enough talent to be 7th. But
is there any? I mean, I think Penn State should maybe be a tad higher. I feel like their defense is really solid. Utah, that makes sense. The team that's missing there, and I'll talk about them in a second, is Iowa. Where in the heck is Iowa in this? Iowa's never had a bad defense. Like, I feel like Iowa should be in the top 10.
yeah, I'm going to say that that's they're saying that there's a little bit of Big Ten West bias there, not having to go against any big offenses ever. But still, when you allow 0 points, you average like only allowing 7 because you have to win games.
It's
probably should be there.
Yes. Do you think
somewhere in this
Ohio
list.
State at 96 overall being the best unit actually over offense and defense? Do you think that's fitting for Ohio State as a non-Ohio State fan?
They would be one of my betting favorites for national championship this year. Like, definitely got to be in top 3 for that for a total team.
Yeah.
But just from a total talent perspective, I think that they do got the best defense in college this year.
Do you want to hear the crazy? Here we go.
Let's hear it.
At 11 is Florida State, 12 Oklahoma, 13 Iowa. So they believe Iowa's defense is worse than Oklahoma and Florida State.
Okay, I'm going to push back on Oklahoma hate a little bit because it is getting better.
Yes, it is getting better.
It might not be at that level yet, but Brent Venables is making it better.
Now it just gets weird. 14 Virginia Tech, 15 Wisconsin. I'm okay with that. 16 USC.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry.
That's the biggest
no
abomination on this list.
There is no way. I don't care they brought a new guy in. I do not care. There is no
Alex
way.
Grinch is gone, makes your defense way better already, but not to 16.
Way. Then it gets even weirder. 17 Auburn, 18 LSU. LSU's defense was terrible last year. There's no way they're the 18th best defense. They might have talent. There's no way that they were bad. LSU is bad. But then it gets even worse. 19 Texas A&M, 20 Colorado. There is no way.
20 Colorado.
There's no way that defense.
No.
There's no way.
You got like G5 offensive lines that would mow their guys over on the defensive line. They can't penetrate.
th- th-
They're too
I mean,
small and young.
I don't even have words because when I saw this, I was in shock.
So Colorado has a top 10 offense and a top 20 defense. What's their
Yes.
overall rank in the game?
Well, that will be tomorrow. They're going to come out with that tomorrow, which
Okay.
will probably mean they were
Well,
in the top 15.
You know they're going to be a top 15 team then after going
Yes.
4-8 last year
It's
and
ridiculous.
cycling out 50 new guys into the team.
You know what's even crazier is that they have North Carolina at 23, who never plays defense.
Yeah,
Never
like we
has
always
defense.
talked about Drake May having like an 8-4 record because he has to score 60 points a game to win a game.
And then Florida is at 25. So Florida at least makes something on the list. They did not
We
make
do have
the
a good
offense.
defense. I don't care what anybody says. We have a good defense. We also have one of the top 10, I think, hardest places to play in. Everybody always seems to struggle early in the year when you got to go to the swamp and
But
it's
I'm
100
just saying,
degrees.
though, like, so a lot of people were saying they wanted to choose Colorado in the game because it would be like a team that, like, yeah, they have a lot of talent, but they're not that great. But now they've made this team like a team that you don't want to be because it's just annoying that they're good in the game. Like that,
Right.
That's what's mind-boggling. And they even said, like, the offense is 8, but like, how can your offense be 8 if your offensive line is atrocious? Like, how is that? Is that not
Yeah, they
calculated
can't
in?
run the football. They can't block for anything.
Like, Dallin Hayden's going to be your number 1 running back. You know, like, again, you have no offensive line to block for him. And so, but I just wanted to hear your response because I know USC and Colorado for you has been very hot topic for us over the time of just how bad the defenses are. And yet they rate in the top 20.
Yeah, we like really saw it catch up with USC last year, going 7-5. That's crazy when you got Caleb Williams. But Colorado, we
So
kind of
how do
saw
you
that
feel
coming.
about the offensive and defensive ratings for this game? Do you feel like they are subject to change? I didn't say at the beginning. They did come out and say that they will update it and change if they need to. I feel after week 1 or 2, they're going to realize with USC and Colorado that's going to need a change. But how do you feel about the overall ranking? Do you feel like it's been pretty fair? Do you feel like it should be changed a lot?
You're never going to agree 100% with
Yeah, of
video game
course.
rankings. And I
Yes.
think we agree more with these than we disagree. We just have
Oh, yeah.
a bone to pick with like 1 or 2 on each one.
There's
So
just a few that it's like, okay, this is
Yeah.
obvious. Like Iowa on the top 10, that's just an obvious one. And then
Yeah.
come on. Like I could see Colorado above USC. I'm okay with that. But USC being better than some of these others, even better than Florida, better than Texas A&M, better than a lot of these other schools, to me is just
yeah,
and again, I think part of it is because the game puts the rating of the player. So yeah, like Colorado has Travis Hunter, but what is he going to
Travis
be
Hunter
rated as
carries
a
a lot of
corner?
weight.
What is
Yeah.
he going to be rated as a wide receiver? You know, so to me, it's fascinating. But again, these are we'll have the rankings our next episode as we're previewing the schools. We'll also have our rankings for the actual game for the teams. But I think this is a good way to get ready for college football. It's right around the corner, Josh. It's July and it's going to be here before we know it. We are going to.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this too. Did we hear Alabama top 10 in offense and defense?
Yes, which I think is a little shocking to me. Not
I just
that,
wanted to point that out because Nick Saban leaving was supposed to lead to a whole bunch of
Yeah.
people transferring. It was going to hurt
Which
their
didn't.
recruiting rankings. And
really.
here they are. I know it's just video game rankings, but it does, like we just said, weigh like individual players a little bit more than what they probably should. So it just goes to show that there's still talent on the rosters.
Yeah, and I think that Alabama is going to be up there. And again, remember most of everyone I think says Conference USA, they're getting rid of divisions. I believe most conferences are going to just the format of the 2 best teams play in the conference championship.
Yeah.
So that's going to add a new identity, I guess, to the conference schedule because if Ohio State loses 1 game just out of nowhere, there's no guarantee they make the playoff or not the playoff,
Right. Or
the
at least the
championship.
Big Ten championship game.
So to me, I think it's fascinating, and we could also see again. I don't think it'll be happening this year, but we could see a Michigan Ohio State back to back, which I think
we
Ohio State,
also
Michigan,
could see Ohio State and Oregon play 3 times, once in the regular season, once in the conference championship, once in the playoffs.
And you know what's great is that Notre Dame doesn't get rewarded for being independent, and that's what I
They
love
can't be
most
a top
about
4.
it.
They can't be a top 4 or top 5 seed.
And I love it. I absolutely love it.
They got to join a conference. Yep.
It is
Very
cool.
cool.
Also, another thing about the video game, I don't know if Josh, you knew this, but they have all the chants of most teams are in the game. All the fight songs have been recorded. They have hand signals for what fans do, the chants, all that kind of stuff. So again, if you're interested in a game that's going to be super realistic to college football, this game's going to do it. So I'm really excited to jump in, play my brother, whoop my brother. with
course.
Bowling Green, because obviously we're running the triple option. And that's what it's going to be. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this time talking about many sports this week, which is a rarity for us here on the show. Normally we get sidetracked on one. So we hope you enjoyed. Next week, like we said, we are going to be starting our preview of the NFL and college football, which is always fun for us. Josh and I tend to debate, and we talk about how great Florida is going to. We really talk about a lot of great things that are going to happen in Florida's schedule. That will be one topic that will come up, I'm sure, when we talk about the SEC. You will find out what next week's topic is next week. We will not tell you right now. We really don't know. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you loved it on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you've loved listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, let us know. Share with your friends and family. And until next time, we'll see ya.